Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
Happy hundo.
Was that the century? The century mark?
We're at the century mark.
100
Drops.
episodes.
Well, 100 drops. Technically speaking.
Oh, here comes the footnote.
Technically speaking, it's 100 drops. And I didn't know what a drop. You don't even want to know what I thought a drop was before I started podcasting.
Yeah, we don't want that. No,
yeah.
Well, we know what a drop is. A drop is a drug test.
Oh, yeah, right.
In rehab. So
yeah,
we're
right.
very familiar with drops.
But no, we've
Congratulations,
done.
man.
Yeah, we've done like 75, 76 episodes, but then we've done 22 bonus drops.
Yeah.
So this is the 100th actual airing that we have, actual session.
Congratulations, brother. Hey, give me
some
bumps,
right?
man.
Yeah,
give me some
love
bumps.
that.
Yeah, this started back in a restaurant. Started during COVID, right? Early COVID or something.
Yeah, it was early COVID.
Yeah, we were having a passion for newcomers, and we sat at dinner. I'm like, hey, let's try to find a different way to get the message out.
Right.
You kind of looked at me. You were thinking a billboard or a bullhorn. And I'm like, hey, let's do a podcast.
And I'm like, podcast? I know nothing about podcasts.
And here we are. We have 100 in the can, as they say in Podcastville.
And I thought it'd be fun if we just kind of talk about, we'll just spend a few minutes today just talking about, and this will be a bonus drop. So just spend a couple minutes.
So folks didn't have to pay for this one?
That's right. This one's free. Yeah, I think it'd be great. You know, we've done so much in the 100 episodes, and at first I thought, how are we going to cover the topics? I mean, the first 12 out of the gate were pretty easy. It was 12 steps,
right.
You know?
And then what?
And they're like, yeah, exactly.
And then we had two guests, and we're like, now what?
Now what? And nobody else in line. And
oh my gosh! And now I think we have 20 topics teed up and all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And
it's just not what this was funny. Not like in life. This was not what I expected was going to happen. I thought that we were, I don't know. I thought we'd give it a little go, and then decide not to do it. And honestly, that was my approach coming in. And we both agreed that if we can positively impact one person, this whole thing was worth our effort. This whole endeavor was worth our effort. And I'm grateful to report that, the exchange interactions we get from people online, we're doing something. And all we are is just a couple of guys talking about real life and talking about sobriety. And there's somewhere in there. It's been a lot of fun and learning. For me, it's been very cathartic because preparing and then discussing and then listening for afterwards, it's unbelievable how this helps me grow.
So let's see. You said our goal was to reach out and help one alcoholic.
And that's all we cared about.
So are you sure we hit that?
I am
too.
Yeah.
So who was the first person that we helped?
Me.
It was me.
Oh, no.
It was me. No, I'll tell you what. It's so funny. If nobody listened to this, it would be worth it.
Yeah.
Because, just like I've always said from working with sponsees, I've learned more about AA and the program and how to change and how to live differently and how to use tools from working with my sponsees than I ever learned going through the program myself. Mm-hmm. And coming through the podcast and picking topics and listening to people's stories of experience, strength, and hope, I have learned, as much going through podcasts as I did from working with sponsees and much I did from going through the book. It just really helps me sharpen the pencil
and
find new pencils to sharpen, new ways of looking at sobriety and live better.
Right. And, that makes me think of the guests that we've had on. And they've been
what a list of guests.
But how helpful that they stepped up to the service plate. We won't list them all because there's 20-some guests that we've had.
Well, this will be a 37-minute session. But grateful for all of them.
But, grateful that they stepped up and they said, you know what, I'm willing to come on and share. And it's an investment in time and emotion and they're just sharing what they were so graciously given, but that comes at a price. I mean, they sacrifice their time to come on, and we really appreciate that. And I know that the listeners appreciate it too, because we get the messages from Instagram and Twitter and in the email box, and we want them to keep coming.
Yeah, I mean, I have learned something from every one of our guests. I mean, there's one that kind of, as I look at my program, there's one that really helped push me from reading the big book and reading AA to studying it, right? And I noticed in one of the recent episodes, you were just there and you were, page throwing from the big book. You were just quoting from one page and then another page and another page, and that's a result of studying this, of having it really become part of us,
right?
And not just lip service,
right? Yep. Yeah, it's been.
So guests were great.
Guests were absolutely great, and some of the topics we've covered were, I mean, recently, we've done the serving the coffee was great. Sober Curious. So,
what was your favorite one?
My favorite episode. Wow. I would have to say that there was one that really stands out to me, and that was a guest that we had on. And her name was Lindsay, and she was just a firecracker. And I remember the day she came in the studio because she was beaming, because she was found out that she was newly going to be a mom.
Oh, I remember that.
And she was beaming, drinking her tea and some healthy drink that she had going over there, and she just came on again to share her experience, strength, and hope with us. And Lindsay ended up passing away, and we miss her dearly. But that will be one of my favorite all-time episodes.
Man, that was so special.
Yeah,
that was so special. I think, wow. Maybe pause for a minute.
Yeah.
I think my favorite one is probably the one that was most personal for me, and it was the wedding bells.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
And I really didn't think about my strategy. I guess that was the most real episode where I just opened up and I just said, hey, look, here's an example of living sober. And, I listened to that episode. I went back and listened to it, and it just spews out quite a number of tools, that I use on a regular basis in sobriety, to help me get through any situation. It also really just screams about gratitude and what this program and the promise is. I mean, I just keep on going and going and going.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do a shout out to a couple episodes that you did where you took your analogies or metaphors and really brought them to life for 30 minutes, and that was the riding the Ferris wheel, and learning to live as a left-hander. This is, again, I'm sure the listeners too, and we can see by people who have listened and then went back and listened again, and those were impactful because, again, it kind of takes this metaphor, but it plays out so well in practicality of life.
Yeah, it really does, and I appreciate the opportunity to kind of have a landscape or have a canvas where it just kind of spews some stuff,
Right.
And but I'll tell you, in addition to the episodes, I think one of the magic pieces for me is, just from the numbers, right? Let's do some numbers. I think I've drank 258 cups of coffee.
That's funny.
during our 100 episodes.
Right.
We have officially raised. Do you know how much we've raised from our coffee kitty?
No idea.
0.00 on the coffee kitty.
It's a round number.
But I love it because you know what? We're not in it for the money. We're just not in it for the money. We said, hey, let's put the coffee kitty up. Maybe folks will help donate, help offset some production costs or whatever. And we're going to video soon, so the production costs are going up. But we really made a conscious effort, right, not to have a bunch of sponsors. I listen to some other podcasts, and I forget what they're about because I'm listening to 17 commercials, about stuff that I could care less about.
Right.
And we really just wanted to, hey, it's just like jumping the coffee shop. We're not going to spew a bunch of commercials on you. But I thought that was funny. But I spent a lot of time in social media, and connecting with some of our listeners. And
how rewarding is that?
dude, that's so rewarding, so valuable.
Yeah.
I think back to Alexis when she left us that voicemail.
Yeah, right.
And she said that one of us was funny.
Yeah, right.
And we're still fighting over who that is.
I think it's Brian, our engineer.
I must be Brian. But I have learned and gotten so much value out of people. It's funny because we have I don't know, 8,500 followers on Instagram. And there's probably 250 that I've really gotten to kind of know and watch out for, and I care about, and I love their stuff, and it's valuable to me, and I love interacting, and so I'm starting to really build relationships, and I love it when folks reach out, right? Sometimes they reach out for a hand of help. Hey, can you point me in the direction for an AA meeting?
Right.
Or hey, can I come on and share my story? But and our email address, for those that want to reach out, is podcast@sober.coffee.
Or we can never hear enough from you at Sober.Coffee, either one.
That's right. And it's totally anonymous.
Yeah. The other thing that I was reflecting on as we came up to our 100th drop is that, we do, and a lot of times we'll chuckle and there's a little levity here at the table. But the bottom line is that we're doing life-saving work. I mean, that's the way I see it. It's life or death for many alcoholics, and so I know that from the feedback we've got some newcomers, and then we've got some people that have been around for a while, but they're still, I'd say, as a community, are serious about their sobriety, and that's what I've come to appreciate about working with you. Is I think we take on topics that are serious, but maybe we chuckle a little bit, or because you're so witty.
So am I the funny one?
Yeah. Okay, I concede.
No, I don't think so. Thanks, brother. I think some key learnings, for me is, it really woke me up on how many people are sober curious out there.
Yeah, right.
Hashtag sober curious. I mean, that's a whole wave of people that are just figuring out, man, that maybe I shouldn't be drinking, and what do I do next?
Right.
And I've also learned and reminded of the value of 12-step work. Doing something to help somebody else. Right. The more I serve, the better quality my sobriety is. Mm-hmm. That's a proven fact.
Yep. Love it.
So we're in season 2. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And we're actually probably halfway through season 2, maybe roughly.
Right.
And so
my lawyer's already contacted your lawyer about contractually looking at season 3.
We might have it done in 6 months. We might have the agreement done.
Right. It's a handshaker.
I know, that's totally right, man. But a lot of value. Love it. Love you. I love getting together. Shout out to Brian and his team.
Yeah, Audio Hive.
We couldn't be who we are and what we do without Brian and Audio Hive here in Chicagoland.
But mostly we'd be doing, if our listenership really was 0, I mean, that would be our death nail would be 0. But, we're doing it because people are listening, and we love to hear from you. We love to hear from you, and love to have people on sharing their experience, strength, and hope with others. They've got a story, or they're involved in recovery. If they can just help us, help others, we're wide open for that.
Yeah, it's an amazing tool, and who knows what comes next. I know we got some partnerships kind of brewing and some cool stuff on that front, and just different ways to reach out and help more folks that are on the sober path.
Right. All right. Did we already do our long laundry list? Let's close out with our laundry list of ways to get in touch with us: Twitter and Instagram. Sorry, Glenn.
Shoot, man, there's 17 more minutes.
I know, right?
Okay, so here's some of the key ones. We're on Instagram. That's a social media app, and we are at Sober.Coffee Podcast.
Okay.
We are on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. We're on Twitter at Stay Sober Today, and our email is podcast@sober.coffee.
Right, not .com.
Not .com, and your home address is blah, 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 blah.
That's right. And
you can find us, and it's all anonymous.
Yeah. And
well, except for, if you put it on social media, it's kind of...
Yeah, and reach out to us again. It is Sober.Coffee. Check out the website. Check out the
Great
resource
website.
room. And if you've got ideas for the resource room that you think have been helpful in your journey, let's. It costs us nothing to throw them up there. Let's just share tools. So, yeah, it's all about community.
Well, good stuff. I look forward to the 101 drop.
101st drop.
Congratulations on 100, brother.
Love you.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@sober.coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.